We're ready now to make the sugar cookie part of our dessert. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to dump the salt and the baking soda into the flour and just lightly mix it in. And then that's ready to go into the mixer once we have the rest done. We're now ready to go to the big mixer and start creaming our butter and avocado and our Truvia or sugar substitute. In our mixing bowl, we're going to add our butter that we've let soften for about a half an hour. And then we're going to put in our avocado. By using this avocado instead of all butter, we are cutting down the calories quite a bit, and we're making these sugar actually have a little bit more nutritional value. And then we're going to add the Truvia. Now this is not a very big batch of cookie dough because I don't need that many cookies. I'm just making the tombstone with these. Now I just want to get them mixed in. Once the sugar is pretty much mixed in, I will speed it up to cream it. But I want to get that sugar blended in first. And then I'm just going to speed that up so that I can cream this. I'm going to stop that for just a minute. And I want to scrape everything down because I want to make sure it all gets mixed in well. Because this is actually a pretty big bowl for the amount of stuff I have. Now just cream that again, make sure that's mixed in well. You'll notice that that mixture is somewhat green. Normally if I were making sugar cookies, I wouldn't be able to replace some of the fat with avocado because I wouldn't want a green cookie. But because this is Halloween and this is a tombstone being put on it, I wanted it to look kind of green and like it might be moldy a little bit, to have that tint of the green. And so I was able to substitute the avocado. If you're doing a light colored batter and you don't want that green tint, and you want to substitute some of the fat for something that's less fat, you could use fat-free yogurt for half of the fat too. And that would keep it the white color. But again, I wanted that kind of color that the green would give it. So that's why I'm using the avocado. So it would be a decision of yours on if you want that color or not. If you don't want that color, then use that 1/4 cup non-fat yogurt instead of the avocado. Now that that is mixed in, I'm going to quickly scrape that down again before I add the egg. I'm just going to dump that egg in and mix it up. Now I want to add the vanilla and the milk. Notice it didn't take a whole lot of milk. I'm turning that off because now I want to start adding the dry ingredients in. I don't want to put all this in at once. I'm just going to add it a little bit at a time. So I'm going to dump some in. That looks about good. And then I want to start the beater slowly because I don't want that flour to poof up. As soon as it's most of the way mixed in, I'm just going to turn it up and cream it in. Then I'm going to turn it off to add the next. And I'm again going to start it slowly just to get that flour mixed in. And you'll notice it's now starting to become more of a dough, which is what we want because we're going to be rolling these out. Now I need to lower that again. I'm going to add about half of what's left. Scrape this down as I do it. And let's get this part mixed up. And now you see it's starting to act like a dough, where you hear that noise because it's getting really thick. All right, that's mixed in. Let's add the last of our flour. And let's mix the last part of that up. And now you can hear that's really become like a dough. Okay. Now that that's done, what we're going to do is we're just going to scrape down our beater and then take the beater off. So that I can actually work with this dough, I need to refrigerate it, but I want to get it all together. And oh, I've got some flour down there that needs to be mixed in with that dough. Let me get my hand in there, mix that flour in. Apparently I had such a small amount of stuff that not all the flour got worked in, so I'm just going to work it in. Okay, so I have my dough, and I'm just going to mush this flat and put some plastic wrap around it and chill it for at least a half an hour. So we'll be back in a half an hour once this has been wrapped and chilled, and we'll show you how to cook both the cracker part and how to make the tombstones. We're ready now to roll out the cookie dough. We're going to make the cookies look like tombstones. Remember, some of it's going to be down into the pudding, so I don't need it flat on that end. So I'm just going to use these oval cookie cutters. And this is the bowl that I'm going to be putting the pudding in. And so I need to decide which one's going to be the best. And as I look at them, I'm not really sure. So I'm going to make some of each because I'm going to have extra cookies. So I'm going to make some of each, and then when they're cooked, I'll be able to tell which one I want to use. What we need to do the cookies, I have my mat here, and I just want to get a little bit of flour on it so the dough doesn't cook, and I'm going to spread it around. And then I don't need a whole lot of dough to begin with. So I'm going to take this out of the bag, and I'm going to just break it in about half, and then I'm going to mush it down here, put a little bit of flour on top, make sure I have a little bit on my rolling pin because I don't want it to stick, and then I'm just going to roll this out, and I want it to be about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more, because I do want it to look like a tombstone, and they're not really skinny. But I also want it to cook evenly. So, right there, that's about the thickness that I wanted. That's going to be a pretty good thickness on a cookie. I'm going to just lift this up, and I want to make sure, I just want to make sure that that's not sticking to the bottom. I also want to make sure that my cookie cutters do not stick to the cookie as I cut it out. So I'm just going to press that down and wiggle a little bit, pull it out. There's my tombstone. And I'm going to stick it on a pan. So this one, I'm going to cut all these ones on the smaller size. And then when I roll it out again, I will cut them the bigger size. And I may end up deciding I like having both sizes in there because not all tombstones are the same size. So I'm going to go ahead and roll out some more and get my baking sheet filled with these tombstones. And then I'll show you how I prepare the tombstone so that it has the writing on it and getting some cracks and that in there so they look like they're really old before we bake them. I have all of the tombstones laid out. It actually took 2 pans. What I want to do now is, I don't really want to use frosting on these. I want them to look like granite. So I'm going to use this scribing tool, and I'm just going to go very deep and make my R, my I, and my P. And I really want to do this before I cook it. Now that one, it's not centered, so I'm thinking for my next one, I'm going to start with the I in the center and then make the R and the P on top. So there's my I. I may make my R and my P on both sides. So there's my I, and I'm going to make my R. And you notice I'm making sure I go in pretty deep because I want this to show up when it's done. Again, I'm going to do that line, the I first, and then on either side of that I, I'm going to do my P and my R. And you really do need to dig in there and make sure that's pretty deep. Because this is a dough, you can't just drag it as if you were writing, because then you make a mess. So you're kind of poking down. I'm doing an up and down motion like this. I want this to look old. So I'm going to take this tool right here, and you see how it has that scooping stuff? I'm just going to make like some, like it's worn out looks here. And you can drag some of them. And you're just being creative to make this look old. Like these are getting old. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'm going to do the small ones too, and then we'll be back. I have all of these now ready. I put the RIP on each of them, and I put the texturing. You can personalize these and put people's names. That might be fun, but I just wanted to make it generic. I'm now ready to put these in the oven, and they're going to cook at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. I'll probably want to check them at about 8 minutes because I want these to just be set up. I don't want them really turning brown along the edges too much. They may turn a little bit brown, but I want them to be pretty much still the color that they are now. So I'll put them in for about 8 minutes. I've taken my cookies out. Now I'm just gonna, one thing I do to help make these flatter is I put them about 3 inches above the cooling rack, and I just let them drop. And that helps to flatten them out. Now the next thing I want to do with these cookies, while they're still very hot, is I want to go in and make sure that those R's and the I's are good. And if any of them need to be fixed, I want to carve it now while it's still hot, because it's still soft. As it cools, it's going to harden up, and it's going to be a lot harder to fix up any R's, I's, and P's. And we're going to do some painting, which is going to help bring those out. But we still want to make sure that we have all of the R's and the I's and the P's. This one looks like it's kind of not very deep. And you don't need to go over all of them, just some that you feel like are not as deep as you'd like them to be. You see, like these ones look really good. This one doesn't look as deep as you want it to be. So I'm gonna dig that one a little bit. Ow, my pan's hot. Gotta be sure not to touch the pan. Okay, those are looking pretty good. Now, we're gonna let these go ahead and cool. And once they get cooled all the way, we're gonna take, you can either use a black food coloring pen, or you can just use some black food coloring to color it, to write in those letters to really help make them pop. So right now we're just going to let this cool for about 10 minutes in the pan, and then we'll take them out and let them cool the rest of the way on the cooling rack. So we'll be back once these are completely cool to show you how to do the letters. We're ready to use our food color pens to make that RIP on the tombstones really pop. So here's one that I've already done. You can really see that RIP. All I do is I take my cookie and I just go into where I did the carving out of the cookie dough. And that's all there is to it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue doing this till I have all of mine done. And then we will be ready to put our tombstone pudding together. And if you want, you can kind of darken up these things too. That's up to you. Just kind of go and darken those up. Remember, that's why we did them, so that you'd be able to see them. So you might want to run your pen to darken some of those up. We will be back when I have done all of the cookies to show you how to put it together.